The Kira who sold the Death Note to the United States, Part 2. Minoru's like, this is the Kira who eliminated war and greatly reduced crime rates? And Ryuk's like, shut the fuck up! Like, bro, we don't want people knowing that Kira's back. Ryuk says he's surprised that Minoru knows a lot about Kira being so young. Minoru says everyone knows about Light Yagami. He was in his elementary textbooks and they study him in world history in middle school. Ryuk replies, wow, really? They treat him like one of the greats, huh? Minoru says no, they taught us that Kira was evil and that he was a mass murdering terrorist. But there's also a lot of people who say Kira was a god, and Ryuk replies, oh yeah, god, huh? But Minoru is wondering, how does a notebook like this even make you a god? Ryuk tells him the instructions are on the first page, but he looks at the instructions and he wonders why is the instructions in English and he doesn't know how to read English. And Ryuk says, what? Seriously? He finally understands the directions and he says, oh, I guess this explains how he did it. The police and L were trying to arrest Kira, right? And Ryuk says, yeah, it was pretty entertaining. Minoru asks Ryuk if he could tell him more about what Kira did, but he says first he'd like to eat an apple. Once he devours the apple, he says he can't share personal details, but he can tell him everything that he remembers. After Ryuk tells him everything that he can remember, Minoru replies, you can't be serious. So Kira actually made use of all these rules. He must have been really smart. Ryuk replies, yeah, his test scores were #1 in the nation. Minoru says if you tried that now though, you would get caught. And Ryuk says, what do you mean? Well, that was 10 years ago in a different human world. There's a security camera on every block now, and I guess you couldn't kill the FBI the same way. Minoru says there's more sophisticated ways of investigating cybercrime, so if Kira tried to get a message out now, he'd get caught. And the police have tabs on all phone calls, so untraceable messages only happens in TV shows and movies and stuff like that. But Minoru says, I could probably still find a way to do it in this day and age. And Ryuk says, well, can you do that? So Minoru's like, what? He wants me to do the same thing that Kira did? There's no way I can use this deadly notebook. And if I give the notebook back to Ryuk or give it to somebody else, I'll lose ownership. But Kira gave it back to Ryuk once. But he wonders if he gives it back to Ryuk, will Ryuk just give it to somebody else?